Award-winning actor Olivia Colman is known for a wide range of roles in comedy and drama.
I grew up in Norfolk, as far as I know. My family from England and Ireland. They're fairly boring.
In the aquarium. Should we go back?
When I was a kid, my dad's parents lived with us. Certainly as a sort of a roots thing, I feel I know much more about the Colmans just because I think they were always in Norfolk forever. So I feel like that's my, my place.
Let's just go back.
My mum's family, I wouldn't really know where they came from.
Olivia lives in London with her husband and children.
Are you excited?
I think so. I'm interested in the people that have gone before. There's a fragility to life, and also when you go, will you be forgotten? And it would be nice to. I don't know what's happened in my family. I don't know who's been forgotten, and it might be quite nice to remember them again.
It would be interesting.
Their loves and losses. Yeah. I mean, you always want to know a bit more, and what was it really like?
French woman.
I know.
Wow.
I mean, if there's any adventurers in my family, they'd be so disappointed. Because I think I'm currently probably the least adventurous person I know. I don't really go out. I like to be at home.
Yeah.
I'm in my pyjamas with my family. Maybe that'll change.
To start her investigation into her family's past, Olivia's back in Norfolk where she grew up and where her parents still live.
It's lovely coming back. There's something about the big skies. It's dramatic and beautiful. And as you get closer to the coast, I love the smell of it and the smell of the marshy mud. Feels like it's in my bones and blood being here. I'm off to see my mum and dad now, and my Uncle Richard is coming as well. He's coming over because he did some research on the family tree, so he's probably a really good one to ask. This is my favourite bridge in Norfolk. Are you holding on? Ready? Whee! Come in. A lovely
Oh, darling. Lovely to see you. Yes, I'm fine.
Alfred, come in.
Richard's in the kitchen.
Hello.
Come and say hello.
Come on, doggies.
The dogs are going mad.
How are you, love? I haven't seen you for ages.
As far as I know, the Colmans have never lived anywhere other than Norfolk.
Farm labourers, postmen,
Yeah.
publicans at the Rose and Crown of Great Ryborough.
No.
Yeah.
Does that mean we get free beer? But it's your family, the Leakeys, that we have less of a sense of.
Well, look what I found the other day. This is Daddy's graduation.
I remember this.
You'd be, what, 5? Something like that.
What have you dressed me in, Mum? Knee-high socks and a kilt.
They were happy days.
So we've got Colman's on the left and Leakeys on the right.
I've got a family tree here.
Leakey family tree.
Or a bit of the Leaky family tree.
Exciting.
A wonderful family tree. And then we
Brilliant.
Right.
there's Mary. Oh, there's Anne. Yeah.
It's going back so far, though, isn't it?
Yes, we're going back a long, long way.
1766. Richard Campbell Bassett.
And Sarah Bassett. These folks are your great, 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 great grandparents.
4.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, Richard Campbell Bassett was born on the island of St. Helena.
And where's St. Helena? My geography is awful.
It's an island in the middle of the South Atlantic, miles from anywhere.
Can I just show you some pictures of them? This is Richard and Sarah, his wife.
Yeah, lovely.
They've got lovely long straight noses.
But, it's not a photograph, is it? They might have said, could you give me a nice nose?
And Richard Campbell Bassett was working in London for the East India Company.
But that's so exotic, isn't it? St. Helena, East India Company.
Fascinating.
Isn't it weird that you just end up not knowing?
We're lucky to have pictures going back this far.
Yeah. So I want to find out more about the Richard Campbell Bassett.
I'm sure there's some more information down in London.
I'll let you know.
Richard's research takes Olivia back to her great-great-great-great-grandparents, Richard Campbell Bassett and his wife Sarah. Richard was working in London in the early 1800s. Olivia has returned to London to see what she can find out about her 4 times great-grandfather. She's meeting historian Rebecca Probert.
These are my great-great-great-great-grandparents. Richard Campbell Bazett.
A handsome young chap.
Isn't he? And his wife, Sarah. And he was born in St Helena and then worked with the East India Company.
Yes. So we have here this page from his account book. We can see at the top, Richard C. Bassett, Esquire.
Oh, my God, look at that.
He's clearly well established, and you can see the kind of sums that he's dealing with.
Wow.
£14,500.
What would that be? Is that possible in
It's
today's
about
money?
£500,000.
Are you kidding?
In today's money.
What? So he's in London?
Some of the time, but we also know that he's also in Calcutta.
Really? From the Register of Marriages at Calcutta, Bengal, for the year 1790. Richard Campbell Bassett and Margaret Ann... What? I thought she was Sarah. Margaret Ann Hampton of the same place, Spinster. Who's Margaret? I thought he was married to Sarah.
Margaret is Richard's first wife.
Not a wife in different ports.
Well, let's see.
So let's calm down and
Let's
find
see.
out, OK?
A bit of this document gives a bit of a hint as to what's going on. So this is a court case. Bazett versus Bassett.
A divorce? How common was that?
This isn't actually a divorce. This is in the church court.
Church court?
The church courts at this stage have jurisdiction over all aspects of marital life, including whether couples can separate legally.
Right.
And this is what Richard is seeking in 1808.
So Richard Campbell Bassett wants a separation.
Yes.
Why?
So when Margaret and Richard came back to London, she met a particular person at her sister Mrs. Palmer's house, as Richard's deposition goes on to describe.
Ooh. In or about the month of July or August in the year 1806, Frederick Dizzy, then principal harp player at the Opera House, attended at the house of Mrs. Palmer, and Margaret Ann Bazett thereby became acquainted with the said Frederick Dizzy, unknown to Richard Campbell Bazett, her husband. Someone nice, who plays the harp, a nice arty type.
Yes.
But we don't know that they're doing anything awful, do we?
Well, the story then unfolds.
On or about the 6th day of September 1806, Richard Campbell Bazett and Margaret Ann Bazett having visit at the house of the said Mrs. Palmer, Margaret's sister, and the said Frederick Dizzy, harpist, being there, and the said Richard Campbell Bazett having observed affections and familiarity in the conduct of the Margaret Ann Bazett towards Frederick Dizzy, and on returning home insisted that she should stop all acquaintance with him. Well, he could just be a jealous Egypt, couldn't he?
He might be.
But thereupon Margaret Ann Bazett expressed herself with great warmth towards her husband, declaring that she would not live with a man who could suspect her of improper conduct and would look out for a separate residence. Wow.
Yeah, so she's basically saying to him,
Up yours, if you don't trust me. Because there's nothing to suggest it's nothing more than a flirtation at the moment.
no,
OK.
nothing whatsoever. So Margaret leaves his home.
Still quite rare.
Yes, absolutely. And she finds somewhere else to live.
Almost immediately after Margaret Ann Bazett went to reside at the said house, Frederick Dizzy visited her there secretly. Oh, well, Richard was right all along.
It gets worse.
Oh, that he usually came after the opera had finished and went upstairs into the bedroom. He and Margaret Ann Bazett lay together there, naked and alone. How do they know this?
You have to remember that these were people who had servants.
And thereby the said Margaret Ann Bazett committed the crime of adultery. OK, so she was definitely having a fling with the harpist. The servants were interviewed and said he was there at breakfast. I heard some noises. So Richard was right.
He was clearly right in his suspicions.
No children at this point.
Not that we're aware of.
Did they have divorces? Legal divorces then?
Divorce is very rare. At this time, the only way to get a divorce in the modern sense that actually allows you to remarry is by a private act of Parliament.
Wow.
Yeah.